The concept of green economy lacks an internationally agreed definition or universal principles. The Rio Plus 20 outcome document identifies green economy in context of sustainable development and poverty eradication, and it affirms that approach will be different in accordance with national circumstances and priorities for each country. In simpler terms, green economy is an economy that aims at reducing environmental risks and ecological scarcities, that aims for sustainable development without degrading the environment. Now, in 2008, UNEP launched a Green Economy Initiative, a program of global research and country level assistance designed to motivate policymakers to support environmental investments. Now, green economy would have its implication on clean transportation, land management, waste management, green buildings, renewable energy, and water management. Now, moving on to the Greenhouse Gas Protocol. It is the most widely used international accounting tool for governments and business leaders to understand, quantify, and manage greenhouse gas emissions. Renowned environmental economist Pawan Sukhdev was awarded 2020 Tyler Prize for his work in the domain of green economy. Established in 1973, Tyler Prize is one of the oldest environmental awards. Now, Pawan Sukhdev is known for his groundbreaking 2008 report on the economics of environment and biodiversity, that is TEEP, which was hosted by UNEP and became the foundation of green economy movement. Now, TEEP is an initiative to draw attention to the global economic benefits of biodiversity. Its objective is to highlight the growing cost of biodiversity loss and ecosystem degradation. Now, payment for ecosystem services are incentives offered to farmers or landowners in exchange for managing their land to provide some sort of ecological service. Ecosystem services simply mean the benefit of nature to household communities and to economies. The services provided, ecosystem services that are provided are regulating service, supporting service, provisioning service, and cultural service. Regulating services would include air quality, climate, water, runoff, erosion, natural hazard, pollination, etc. These are regulating service. Supporting service would include nutrient cycling, water cycling, soil formation, photosynthesis, etc. Provisioning would include food, fiber biomass, fuel, fresh water, and natural medicine. Cultural value would include ethical value, existence value, recreation, and ecotourism. Now, moving on to Partnership for Action on Green Economy, that is PAGE, was launched in 2013 in direct response to Rio Plus 20 declaration, that is the future we want. Now, PAGE supports nation in framing economic policies and practices around sustainability and seeks to assist countries in achieving sustainable development goals, that is SDGs. Now, natural capital is the stock of renewable and non-renewable resources, example plant, animal, air, water, etc., that combines to yield a flow of benefits to people. Now, natural capital accounting is a tool that helps measure the full extent of a country's natural assets. It gives us an insight on the link between economy, ecology, and our environment. UN Statistical Commission has adopted the System for Environment and Economic Accounts as a statistical standard to measure a country's natural capital. Now, Natural Capital Accounting and Valuation for Ecosystem Services, that is NCASE, is a project funded by the European Union and jointly implemented by the United Nations Statistics Division, United Nations Environment Programme, and Secretariat of Convention on Biological Diversity, that is CBD. Now, NCASE project is aimed at encouraging the practice of ecosystem accounting. India is one of the 5 countries, other being Brazil, China, South Africa, and Mexico, taking part in the project. Now, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation is the implementing project, along with Environment Ministry and National Remote Sensing Center under the Department of Space. Moving on to sustainable development, the Brundtland Commission report, also known as Our Common Future, which was published in 1987 by the United Nations through the Oxford University Press. The report developed the most widely used definition of sustainable development as development which meets the needs of current generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Accordingly, 17 SDGs were adopted in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly and are intended to be achieved by the year 2030. They included a UN resolution called Agenda 2030. So Agenda 2030 relates to the 17 SDGs. Moving on to the Club of Rome, that stimulated considerable attentions with its first report to the club, that is The Limits to Growth, which was published in 1972. Its computer simulations suggested that economic growth could not continue indefinitely because of the resource depletion. Seabed 2030 project has been launched by Nippon Foundation of Japan and general bathymetric charts of the oceans at the UN conference in 2017 with the aim of achieving SDG 14, that is to conserve and sustainably use oceans, seas, and marine resources. The project aims to bring together all available bathymetric data to produce definitive maps of the world ocean by 2030. This will help us understand several natural phenomena related to oceans like ocean circulations, tides, biodiversity hotspots. Further, Seabed 2030 project will also promote better understanding of impact of climate change on oceans. Now, Global Environment Facility, that is GEF, was established in 1991 by World Bank in consultation with UNDP and UNEP to provide funding to protect global environment. Now, World Bank serves as Global Environment Facilities trustees. Administering GEF fund are available to developing countries and countries with economies in transition to meet the objectives of the international environmental conservation conventions and agreements. GEF serves as the financial mechanism to 5 conventions. Those 5 conventions are the direct outcomes of Rio Summit, that are CBD, UNCCD, and UNFCCC. In addition to the Rio outcomes, we have Stockholm Convention, Minamata Convention for POP. Moving on to Green Climate Fund, parties agreed to establish the Green Climate Fund to provide finance to projects, programs, policies, and other activities in developing countries. Green Climate Fund is based in Incheon, South Korea, and the World Bank was invited to serve as its interim trustee. Now, GCF, that is Green Climate Fund, is intended to be the centerpiece of all efforts to raise climate finance of $100 billion by 2020. Now, Green Climate Fund has decided to give 50-50 balance between mitigation and adaptation. It also aims for a floor of 50% of adaptation allocation for particularly vulnerable countries, including least developed countries, small island developing states, that is SIDS, and African states. Moving on to global climate finance architecture, funds administered by GEF are Special Climate Change Fund, which was created in 2001 to address the specific needs of developing countries under the UNFCCC, adaptation to climate change and top priority of Special Climate Change Fund. Least Developed Countries Fund was established to meet the adaptation needs of least developed countries. The fund is administered by GEF. Moving on to the funds administered by European Union. The Global Climate Change Alliance is an initiative of the European Union. Its overall objective is to build a new alliance on climate change between European Unions and poor developing countries that are most affected and that have the least capacity to deal with climate change. Now, Global Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Fund, that is GEREF, is a public-private partnership designed to maximize the private finance leveraged through public funds funded by European Commission and managed by the European Investment Bank. Now, GEREF is envisaged as a fund of funds. International Platform on Sustainable Finance was launched by European Union as part of international efforts to meet Paris Agreement commitments. India is also a part of this initiative. Moving on to the funds administered by World Bank, we have Biocarbon Fund Initiative for Sustainable Forest Landscape, which is a multilateral fund supported by donor governments and managed by World Bank. It promotes and rewards reduced greenhouse gas emissions and increased carbon sequestration. Forest Carbon Partnership Facility is a global partnership of governments, businesses, civil societies, and indigenous people. It assists the countries in their READ Plus efforts by providing them with financial and technical assistance. Partnership for Market Readiness is a partnership of developed and developing countries administered by World Bank, established to use market instruments to scale up mitigation efforts in middle-income countries. Now, some more funds administered by World Bank are Climate Investment Fund, administered by World Bank, has following two multi-donor trust funds. The multi-donor trust funds are Strategic Climate Fund and Clean Technology Fund. Now, Strategic Climate Fund, which focuses on areas like adaptation, mitigation, general and mitigation are READ. Now, Strategic Climate Fund serves as an overarching framework for the following three programs. So, Strategic Climate Funds will have three different funds. These provide fund for three different programs, which are Forest Investment Program, which supports developing countries' effort to reduce deforestation and forest degradation and promote sustainable forest management. Pilot Program for Climate Resilience, which aims to pilot and demonstrate ways in which climate risk and resilience may be integrated into core development planning and implementation. Scaling Up Renewable Energy Program for Low-Income Countries, which aims to demonstrate the economic, social, and environmental visibility of low-carbon development pathways in energy sector in low-income countries. Clean Technology Fund, which aims at promoting scaled-up financing for demonstration, deployment, and transfer of low-carbon technologies with significant potential for long-term greenhouse gas emission savings. That'll be it.